Yamuna Tira Simon Prabhu? Yes. Don't have the speaker mic thing?
No, I can't find it. I'm not sure. I looked at it. But I think it's okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
You want to pick one?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita today. From Adi Leela chapter 2 entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And today's verses are 90 to 92. So we're in 91, 92 has the purport. So I'll recite 90 and 91 myself. And then we will recite 92 together, which is on the board. So verse 90. Taiche sabe avatarera Krishna se karana are kashloka shuna kuryakya khandana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This one doesn't have the purport, but 92 has purport. So translation: Krishna in the same way is the cause of all causes and all incarnations. Please hear another verse to defeat all misinterpretations. So here we are again. We are continuing this in the theme of how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is defeating and ensuring that Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's defeating the fact that people think, oh, Krishna is just another demigod, an incarnation of Vishnu, like that. And so in that way, he continues to present to us verse after verse after verse that is defeating this fact that actually Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada Ki Jai. And so 91 goes like this. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam oshanam uttaya manamantare shanukantha nirodha mukti ashraya. And then today's verse, which we'll recite together, and then we will do the word for word. This is basically the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dasamasya Vishuddhartham Navanam Iha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmanaha Shrutenarthena Chanyasa Dasamasya Vishuddhyartham Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa Shrutenarthena Chanyasa Dasamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa Dasamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa.
Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa.
Dasamasya Vishuddhi Satyam
Dasamasya Vishuddhyartham
Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa.
Vaishnavis.
Dasamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanamiha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Shrutenarthena Chanyasa.
Word for word. It's a long word for word. Atra
Atra
in Srimad Bhagavatam,
in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Sargaha,
Sargaha,
the creation of the ingredients of the universe.
the creation of the ingredients of the universe.
Visargaha,
Visargaha,
the creations of Brahma.
the creations of Brahma.
Cha,
Cha
and
and
Sthanam,
Sthanam,
the maintenance of the creation.
the maintenance of creation.
Poshanam,
Oshanam,
the favoring of the Lord's
the
devotees.
favoring of the Lord's devotees.
Uttayaha,
Uttayaha,
impetuses for activity.
impetuses for activity.
Manvantara,
Manvantara,
prescribed duties
prescribed duties
given by the Manus.
given by the Manus.
Ishanukataha, a description of
The description of
the Lord, the incarnation of the Lord.
the incarnation of the Lord.
Nirodha,
Nirodha,
the winding up of the creation.
the winding up of creation.
Muktihi,
Muktihi,
liberation.
liberation.
Shri Radha Govinda Madhav Ji ki,
Jai.
Krishna Balaram ki,
Jai.
Govinda ki.
Jai.
Ashrayaha, the ultimate shelter,
The
the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Supreme Personality of God.
Dashamasya,
Dashamasya,
of the 10th,
of the 10th,
the Ashraya.
the Ashraya.
Vishuddhi Artham,
Vishuddhyartham,
for the purpose of
for the purpose of
perfect knowledge.
perfect knowledge.
Navanam,
Navanam,
of the 9,
of the 9.
Iha,
Iha,
here.
here.
Lakshanam,
Lakshanam,
the nature.
the nature.
Varnayanti,
Varnayanti,
describe.
describe.
Mahat Atmana,
Mahatmatmana,
the great souls.
the great souls.
Shrutena,
Shrutena,
by prayer.
by prayer.
Arthena,
Arthena,
by explanation.
by explanation.
Cha,
Cha,
and
and
Anyasa,
Anyasa,
direct.
direct.
Translation and the very elaborate purport. Translation. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 subjects are described. 1. The creation of the ingredients of the cosmos. 2. The creations of Brahma. 3. The maintenance of the creation. 4. Special favor given to the faithful. 5. Impetuses for activity. 6. Prescribed duties for law-abiding men. 7. A description of the incarnations of the Lord. 8. The winding up of the creation. 9. Liberation from gross and subtle material existence. And 10. The ultimate shelter. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 10th item is the shelter of all others. To distinguish this ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajanas have described these 9 directly and indirectly through prayers or direct explanations. And here we are now going to be going into a very long purport. So I suggest everybody gets very comfortable in the temple room. We'll be here for another 2 hours. So, purport. These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verses 1 to 2, list the 10 subject matters dealt with the text of the Bhagavatam. Of these, the 10th is the substance, and the other 9 are categories derived from the substance. These 10 subjects are listed as follows. 1. Sarga, the first creation by Vishnu, the bringing forth of the 5 gross material elements, the 5 objects of the sense perception, the 10 senses, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, and the total material energy or universal form. 2. Visarga, the secondary creation, or the work of Brahma in producing the moving and unmoving bodies in the universe, Brahmanda. 3. Sthana, the maintenance of the universe by the personality of Godhead Vishnu. Vishnu's function is more important and his glory greater than Brahma's and Lord Shiva. For although Brahma is the creator and the Lord Shiva the destroyer, Vishnu is the maintainer. Poshana, special care and protection for devotees by the Lord. As a king maintains his kingdom and subjects, but nevertheless gives special attention to the members of his family, so the personality of Godhead gives special care to his devotees, who are souls completely surrendered to him. Uti, the urge for creation or initiative power, that is the cause of all inventions, according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. 6. Manvantara, the periods controlled by Manus, who teach regulatory principles for living beings, who desire to achieve perfection in human life. The rules of Manu, as described in the Manu Samhita, guide the way to such perfection. Ishanukatha, number 7. Scriptural information regarding the personality of Godhead, his incarnations on earth, and the activities of his devotees. Scriptures dealing with these subjects are essential for progressive human life. 8. Nirodha, the winding up of all energies employed in creation. Such potencies are emanations from the personality of Godhead, who eternally lies on the Karana ocean. The cosmic creations manifested with his breath are again dissolved in due course. Number 9. Mukti, liberation of the conditioned souls encaged by the gross and subtle coverings of body and mind. When freed from all material affection, the soul, giving up the gross and subtle material bodies, can attain the spiritual sky in his original spiritual body and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord in Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka. When the soul is situated in his original constitutional position of existence, he is said to be liberated. It is possible to engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord and become Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, even while in the material body. And number 10, Ashraya, the transcendence, the Samam Bhavanam, from whom everything emanates, upon whom everything rests, and in whom everything merges after annihilation. He is the source and support of all. The Ashraya is also called the Supreme Brahman, as in the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa Janmadya Ashya Yataha. Srimad Bhagavatam especially describes this Supreme Brahman as the Ashraya. Shri Krishna is this Ashraya, and therefore the greatest necessity of life is to study the science of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam accepts Shri Krishna as the shelter of all manifestations because Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ultimate source of everything, the Supreme God of all. Now, do we need translation into French?
Yes.
So maybe, would you like to translate, Marina? Maybe you can come and sit at the back with Taya Prabhu, if that's possible. And I'll just complete the purport. There's still 2 more paragraphs of the purport left. It's still very, very long purport. 2 different principles are to be considered herein, namely Ashraya, the object providing shelter. This is an important part. This is where actually Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining about what he has already explained in the previous verses, that the rhetoric of object and subject. So he's saying 2 different principles are to be considered herein, namely Ashraya, the object providing shelter, and ashrita, the dependents requiring shelter. The ashrita exists under the original principle, the ashraya. The first 9 categories described in the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, from creation to liberation, including the Purusha avatars, the incarnations, the marginal energy for living entities, and the external energy or material energy, are all ashrita. The prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, aim for the Ashraya Tattva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The great souls, expert in describing Srimad Bhagavatam, are very diligently delineated the other 9 categories, sometimes by direct narrations, and sometimes by indirect narrations such as stories and pastimes. The real purpose of doing this is to know perfectly the absolute transcendence, Sri Krishna, for the entire creation, both material and spiritual, rests on the body of Sri Krishna. Basically, Sri Krishna is everything. The end of the class. I'll carry on. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai. So I won't, on this occasion, repeat the translation. Normally I repeat the translation, because it's a very long translation, but we're going to cover some aspect of the translation in my talk anyway. So in his new book, 4 Questions, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu quotes in the preface of a Bhagavad Gita verse 647, and he says in there, "The best yogi is the one who serves me in love and devotion." He goes on to say that what is the meaning of the word sadhu? He writes, the goal of yoga is sadhya, and the practice is called sadhana, and so the practitioner is called sadhu. So I would like to say pranipad to all the exalted sadhus who assembled here today, and I seek their blessings, as I don't really feel qualified to sit on this very high asana, but collectively we improve our Krishna consciousness by reciting this transcendental knowledge, and therefore we get purified, and that's the purpose of the process. So previously we've been seeing how Krishna is proved to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead through many mediums, especially the medium and argument of grammatical arguments, right? Previously in these verses, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks about how object is first before, subject is first before the description of the subject. Yeah. So the Vyasadeva, with the compiler of the Vedas, would never make an error in his writing. Yeah. He would compile the special subject matter describing the object first, and then all the qualities that come after the object has been described, because the object has to exist first. The tree has to exist first before it can give fruits. Right? So similarly, as he says in verse 86, which we did cover, he says that Vyasadeva never makes a mistake because their compilation, as stated in that verse, is perfect. So he wouldn't make that kind of an error, grammatical error. And so even Srila Prabhupada, in the first paragraph of today's purport, he's saying putting on the substance and less on the categories derived from the substance. The main part has to exist before its component parts, isn't it? So the car and the engine has to exist before everything else is put about the car. The roof, the seats, the doors, the mirrors, the wheels, etc. And if the engine is not there, the car is useless. Furthermore, if the driver is not there, then what's the point of the car? Right? We're never going to have the demand of the driver buying the car. So we are hearing from another angle now, more proof that Krishna indeed is the original source of all Vishnu incarnations. A common misunderstanding, as I've explained before, especially in the eastern regions in India, etc., where all the Indian populations are, the easy misinterpretation is that actually Krishna is the incarnation of Vishnu, which is a normal understanding, right? But it is said, as Vishnu, as we know, Mahavishnu is lying down on the Karna ocean, and all the universes are coming out of his pores. As he breathes out, all the universes come out. And there are billions and trillions, unlimited universes. As he breathes in, all these universes are annihilated. They come inside his body. And he's just an expansion, a Purusha expansion of Krishna himself. Yeah? Through many expansions of expansions. In our Gita Life course, we discussed the difference between expansion and incarnation. Expansion means?
Spiritual world.
Yes, expansions are in the spiritual world. Expansions of Krishna directly in the spiritual world. So the first expansion of Krishna is? Balaram. Yes. Balaram is in that wonderful picture just there, nicely painted. Balaram is the direct expansion of Krishna, and there's no key difference between Balaram and Krishna. Just 4 minor qualities, but that's something different. Accordingly, there are many expansions that happen in the spiritual world. Incarnations that occur in the material world. So the Lord comes down, or the expansions come down into the material world. And therefore, we are hearing this angle now from Krishnadas Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is why the entire Vishnu incarnations and the source of everything, the entire creation, is described in this verse, in these 2 verses that we've just read. So in his book, Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami, this book is called Book Bhagavad. Now, how big is the Bhagavatam? If you had to measure like this, how big would you say is the Bhagavatam, the entire Bhagavatam?
How many books?
Yeah, so it's like this, right? These many books.
It's 18 books.
Yeah, so it's been compressed. It's 12 books. Well, no, it's 18 books, but yeah, different volumes, and that makes it up to that. Keshava Swami has compressed all of that into this book. This much. The whole of the Bhagavatam is in here, called the Book Bhagavad. And he goes into so much nice way of explaining varieties of analytical philosophy that is described in the Bhagavatam to make it more palatable for our digestion, so that we understand it in our way, in this day and age, in this time, place and circumstance. So similarly, he says, when the universe is created, if we look at the world around us, it is clear that everything functions in cycles, isn't it? Seasons repeat themselves, days of the week rotate, Monday to Sunday, like that. And then the sun continuously rises and sets. So it's very cyclical, very sequential. Vedic scriptures explain how our lives also run in cycles. We are born, we grow, we reproduce, stay for some time, and gradually we dwindle and we die, only to be reborn again, repeat that cycle all over again, and that is called samsara, reincarnation. Samsara is a Sanskrit term of the cycle of birth and death, and reincarnation is the process of that birth and death. The greater material creation mirrors this cyclical pattern. All this creation that we've seen, it mirrors this cycle. The cosmos moves in a succession of great cycles called Divya Yugas. Divya means divine. Yuga means ages or millennia. Right? So the Vedic text details the length of these cycles. How long each of these Divya Yuga is composed of. 4 ages, which are progressively declining. So you know these 4 ages. I'm sure all of you practically know the 4 ages. What's the first age? Satyuga. And how long? Also, the first age, Satyuga, is sometimes called Krita Yuga. Krita Yuga. So how long do you think that Satyuga lasts in number of years?
4 million?
1 million. Something.
Okay, how many votes? 4 million. 1 million. And?
7,000 years.
7,000 years. Looking it up over there, cheating and then answering, go on.
1,728,000.
Yes. Satyuga is 1,728,000 years.
You sent it to us yesterday. So.
Yes. And wonderful. And what's the next age after Satyuga? Treta Yuga. And what is the span of Treta Yuga? 1,296,000 years. What's the next stage? Dwapara Yuga. Now, what's the span of the Dwapara Yuga? 864,000 years. And then the age is, which is the current age, what we are in currently. And how many years is that? 432,000 years. This age. These 4 periods essentially are golden, silver, copper and iron ages respectively. Not only do these ages decline in length, as we've seen in terms of years, but they also decline in their spiritual vibrancy and saintly qualities, saintly virtuosity. Yeah? So mercy, compassion, truthfulness, all these decline, cleanliness, all these decline as we go down these ages. So we are currently just over 5,000 years into the Kali Yuga, this dark age of Kali Yuga. And when this period comes to an end in just under 427,000 years, a partial destruction will take place. And then Satyuga will be re-established again. When I say partial destruction, what does that mean? As we know, in the material creation, there is a material 14 planetary systems in the universe, in one universe, right? The top planetary systems, including Earth, is 7. And then below Earth is another 7. This is called the lower planetary systems. Middle is the Earth, and 6 above and 7 below. So the partial destruction is everything below Earth gets destroyed. Basically assumed within the body of Vishnu. Yeah?
So
And
Earth is not destroyed.
Earth is not destroyed, not in a partial destruction. Right? So this is a cycle, continuous happening. Like this, I said Divya Yuga means divine ages, cyclical ages. Each of those 4 that we described is one Divya Yuga. And there are 71 such Divya Yugas. We talked about in our purport today about Manvantara, right? Manvantara, 71 Divya Yugas make up one Manvantara, which is basically a lifetime of Manu. Manu is the father of mankind. Father of mankind, who is the progenitor of man. Hence the word man or human come from. Right? So he's the father of mankind, and there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. So these I'm going to some numbers now. This means that there are 1000 Divya Yuga cycles approximately relating to 4.3 billion years, making up merely one day in the life of Brahma. You know Brahma, who sits right at the top of the top planet, which is Satyaloka. He sits there. Each day followed by a night of equal length. So day is this much, then night is also that much. So 4.3 billion times 2, which is 8.6 billion. Right? Years, one day, one full 24 hours of Brahma. During the night, Brahma sleeps, and most planets are submerged in the waters of devastation. Most planets below the earth. At the end of the night, Brahma awakens, and another day of 1000 cycles begins. 360 of these days and nights make up one Brahma's year. Brahma lives for 100 such years. The time frames are just out of this mind. In English, this is called mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling because the time scales is just impossible to calculate such a vast amount of time of life of Brahma. Right? So Maitreya Muni describes Vedic time, again described in the book Bhagavad. In his conversation to Mahatma Vidura, outlined various measurements of time from the smallest fraction of a second up to the duration of 1 year. When Vidura inquired about durations beyond that, Maitreya continued in his description. 4 yugas, as we've said, are Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, which makes one Divya Yuga. 71 Divya Yugas makes one Manvantara. Lord Krishna appears in each Manvantara for the reign of Manu. Lord Krishna, along with later on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with later on Srila Prabhupada, etc. like that. 14 Manvantaras equals to 1 day and night of Brahma, which is known as a Kalpa. Yeah. 100 years, which equals to 311 trillion human years of Brahma, is one lifetime of Brahma. So, one lifetime of Brahma is equal to 311 trillion human years. One lifetime of Brahma equals one Nimesha, which is a moment in our time, 0.43 seconds of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is lying down on the ocean. So 0.43 seconds of Brahma, which is one lifetime of Mahavishnu. So you can see how wide, how far away the universe and that is. We'll come to questions later. Please keep them in your mind. Lord Sri Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only appear once in a day of Brahma, specifically as themselves in the 28th Divya Yuga of Vaivashata Manu. And guess what? This is this Manu. Vaivashata Manu is the current Manu. So, we, all of us, in this specific Kali Yuga, are extremely, extremely fortunate. Because we have Prabhupada. In the other Manvantras, in the other Kali Yugas, Krishna appears, but he's not the original Krishna. He'll appear as the avatar of Vishnu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu won't appear. Prabhupada won't appear. So yeah, they have the Mahamantra, but it's not like pushed as in the love of Godhead. They can still achieve liberation through chanting, but this level of compassion, this level of mercy, this level of love and connection is not there. I don't remember the other Kali Yugas, I'm sure I was there, but in this Kali Yuga, we know we are very, very fortunate because of Prabhupada. He did all of this austerity for us. So the importance of creation numerous sections of the Srimad Bhagavatam discuss the creation of the material world. Its topic, which is detailed in cantos 2, 3, 5, 11, 12, and so on. So one naturally asks, why is Prabhupada, why is Vyasadeva so much giving emphasis on the creation? Isn't it? Why do we think? Why would you think, again, this is I'm taking this from book Bhagavad, amazing book for preparation of class. Why do we think so much emphasis and prominence has been given to this matter of creation? Any ideas? There are three key things that I've been describing here, but I'm sure there are others also. But why would you say it's important to describe creation?
The supremacy of the Lord is established. Because
Okay, very good. Yes, okay. Harry?
To realize how small we are.
Very good. Yes, both of you have been reading this book. And so, yes, the supremacy, Krishna's greatness is explored. And our minuteness is also described. So we can understand how great Krishna is by exploring the complexity and intricacies of extreme vastness of this universe. The creation, we appreciate the Krishna's greatness in a better way. Because we know how he masterminded the entire process. Now, yes, it is a process. It isn't just a Big Bang theory. Some chemicals got together and said, oh, hello, Mr. Chemical A and Mr. Chemical B. Let me come together and let's have an explosion. No, it didn't happen like that. And explosion doesn't create so much order, doesn't create so much uniformity and cycle. Explosion, if you do an explosion out there, it creates chaos. So how can explosion create so much uniformity? It's a rubbish theory. Rubbish theory. And so, one of the other reasons is explained as to why Krishna created the universe, especially the material universe, is actually to fulfill the aspirations of the living entity, to fulfill our desires. How compassionate is he? All the souls came from Krishna in order to serve him and have a wonderful loving relationship, but some of those naughty souls said, well, I think I can be Krishna. I think I would like to be the person who's served. So Krishna said, okay, I will create something nice for you. No problems. You are my children. Just like a child says to the father, Daddy, Daddy, I want to go to the park. And he says, why don't we do something here at the house? No, I want to go and play with my friends in the park. So Daddy creates a nice park and all the friends are playing. Similarly, Krishna carved out a quarter of the spiritual world and called it the material world and created the material world out of his own compassion. But when confronted by a huge ocean of this huge ocean of the creation, we kind of, naturally feel tiny in comparison. So that is also, our minuteness is also there. So we actually start to comprehend the enormity of this universe. We start to understand, wow, this universe is huge. Sometimes people think, oh yes, I'm the temple president here, Nityananda Prabhu, and I'm getting all these big bucks from all of these worldwide organizations to make my temple even more grand. But then we can see in the grand scale of things, we are a tiny little bubble just trying to come up on the ocean of this vast creation. And this bubble will just go at the top and go back to Godhead. Yes, Lord Charan Prabhu? Back to Godhead. And so like that, it confirms our minuteness. Third part actually also confirms our overconfidence, our overall confidence. Because of the inquisitive mind, Srila Prabhupada said we naturally look up in the sky at night and say, wow, how did this all happen? So to the person who is inquisitive, this creation description is perfect source of great knowledge. And therefore, it's a substantial explanation of the cosmic origins. It gives the entire Srimad Bhagavatam has been systematically detailing the entire creation. Because if you've noticed, the first 9 chapters or the first 9 cantos relate to the first 9 objects of what we discussed in the purport. Sarga, Visarga, Manvantara, etc. Uti, etc. is the canto 1, canto 2, canto 3, etc. And when we come to the 10th part, is canto 10, describing all the pastimes of Krishna, and we eventually come to Krishna. This is why it is said, when we are looking to study the Bhagavatam, start with canto 1, go to canto 2, etc. like that. And you will clearly understand how Krishna has created this entire thing. Krishna has created, through his devotees, they all explain how Krishna is so great. And once we know and appreciate his greatness, then we qualify to actually understand his pastimes, his relationships, his mellows, his rasas, and so on. So for bhakti to flourish, we need to acknowledge the greatness of Krishna, the insignificance of ourselves, and possess unshakable faith in the scriptures, Shastra, to make that connection. Because every morning we do what? Between 5:15 and 7:15? Japa meditation, mantra meditation, man trayate. Man means the mind, trayate to make a connection. So that connection is required. Shastra also gives us the ability to connect. We are taking japa as our purpose of making that connection with the soul, taking the soul, then connecting that soul to the super soul, who is also residing within us, making sure the mind is surrendered to that super soul within the heart. So some of us see Bhagwan realization, some of us see Paramatma realization, some of us see Brahman realization, or some of us just see pizza realization, right? Or chocolate realization, or gâteau realization, or whatever realization we have. But ultimately we want to get to at least the Brahman effulgence realization, or better, Paramatma realization, and even better, Bhagwan realization. Because when we realize the process of actually pleasing Krishna, then we come to the point of actually making a connection with him. Because otherwise, the mind is going everywhere, in different parts of Disneyland, here in Paris, or wherever it might go. Isn't it? And so Kaishab Swami describes each of these elements that we described, the 10 elements, Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, in actual English terms, in actual current terms. So Sarga is known as elemental creation. He describes as elemental creation, which is the creating all of the elements, including the senses and so on. Visarga is the Brahma's creation of this material world and all of the living entities. Now, the gopis are constantly complaining about Lord Brahma, isn't it, to Krishna? Why did the creator Brahma give us eyelids? Why didn't he just do auto moisturing of the eyeball? Which is possible. I mean, he's a creator after all. Why do we have to blink? And by blinking, we are momentarily missing the association of Krishna. They don't even want to momentarily miss the association of Krishna. Because, millions of blinks, which is we are blinking all the time, if you collect all those millions of blinks, imagine how many hours you're missing Krishna. Seeing him. So they're complaining about Lord Brahma. What useless creator are you? Forgive me, Lord Brahma, by saying that. This is not my words. It's the gopis' words. So Visarga is Brahma's creation. Sthanam is maintenance and or maintenance of the planetary systems. Creation and the maintenance of the planet. Creation by Brahma, and then this is the maintenance of the planetary systems. Poshanam, protection and mercy of the Lord. We are constantly getting His protection. Just like a father, just like I described, the child wants to go and play in the playground, the father will sit there on a bench reading a paper, looking over now and then. Oh, Sangeeta is painting a nice picture. And like that, you see, so she's playing in the playground. Sangeeta is playing. And mother is sitting there, usually on the phone, trying to solve so many world problems. But keeping an eye on little Sangeeta playing with the other friends, isn't it? That's what a loving parent does. And therefore, the loving parent protects, and the mercy of the Lord, by giving us the mercy, we get the chance to go back home, back to God. So much mercy is available. Here in the temple, oh my God, unlimited mercy. When somebody asks, oh, do you want to do this service, Prabhu? Oh no. Oh, so you don't want the mercy? No, I don't want the mercy. Okay, no problems. You can stay here in the material world. So Uttaya is known as the creative impetus. Creative impetus. Where does the creative impetus come from? How are we so creative? How is the children painting such a wonderful painting? Where does that creativity come from? It's come from Krishna. Manvantara we just discussed, which is the change of Manus. Ishanukatha, activities of the incarnations. There are so many incarnations. What are the activities? What are they all doing? Why does Krishna have to come all the time? Well, why does the parent have to come and see the children all the time? So the same reason that father and mother feel for the children, the same reason Krishna feels for us. No different. He is the ultimate father. Continuously comes, oh, here's some mercy, come back to me, here's some mercy, come back to me. Get purified, get cleaned from this material entanglement. And so like that, He continuously gives us opportunities to come back to Him. Nirodha, universal dissolution, again described in the 8th canto. Mukti, liberation, described in the 9th canto. And then Ashraya, the supreme shelter, which is the amazing part, which is what actually the ultimate goal of Bhagavatam, all the scriptures, association, devotional service, chanting, book distribution, prasadam distribution and eating and so on. The purpose is for this last part, going back home, back to Godhead. Obviously, through development of love, etc. like that. So Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport how the origin of living entity, indeed, or any expansion exists under the original principle of Ashraya. Ashraya and Ashrita. Ashraya is the supreme shelter, and Ashrita is the one who takes shelter. So Sarga usually happens at the beginning of Brahma's life, and Visarga happens at the beginning of Brahma's day. Although the Lord is the overseer of the creation, His primary interest is to enjoy spiritual pastimes. That is the Lord's primary function, to enjoy pastimes. That's why we also like to enjoy pastimes, isn't it? Our satisfaction and the bliss comes from when there is pastimes, when there is some stories going on, when we're going to see the movie, we enjoy it. Because that enjoyment trait, the enjoyment character, nature comes from the Lord. Because that's our constitutional position. As a soul, part and parcel of the Lord, we also have the same tendencies of Satchitananda. And thus, His primary interest to enjoy spiritual pastime with His loving associates. He delegates responsibility of the universal affairs to the demigods. He doesn't do work. The demigods, the expansions, they do all the work. Like that. He's playing the flute, he's stealing the gopis' clothes, he's stealing butter, he's stealing all the distresses of all of the living entities. Yeah, he's an expert thief. So therefore, that's why the first 9 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam exist simply to introduce us to the 10th canto. So all the individual parts exist only because of the object of the individual parts, the origin of the individual parts. This is why it is the most sublime topic, number 10. The most beautiful Lord Krishna, the ultimate shelter of everything, the ashraya of everything. So when we re-establish our relationship with Krishna, all problems are solved, everything makes complete sense, and life becomes a dynamic experience of spiritual joy. If we genuinely want that spiritual joy, then we take shelter, we take the ashraya. So all these 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam offers us a comprehensive instruction manual to navigate our lives in this material world. Because this is also explained where? In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. In a wonderful verse, Canto 12, Chapter 13, verse 15, says, Sarva Vedanta Sarambhi Shri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tad Rasamrita Traptasya Nayantara Shadrati Kvachit. The translation is, Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has felt satisfaction from its nectarian mellow will never be attracted to any other literature. So if you want to read Time magazine, and if you want to read other comics, Tom and Jerry and Beano and whatnot, Transformers, yes, they will give you minute happiness momentarily, but if you want the transcendental bliss, that comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a lifetime of study. It's an ocean. You can either just do doggy paddles in the surface of the ocean, or you can be a dolphin and dive deep into the ocean of the Bhagavatam. And when you dive deep is when you get the nice gems. You see wonderful worlds, corals, species that you've never seen before. It's like the exploration of a big ocean. If you want to explore the ocean, welcome. Come and dive into the Srimad Bhagavatam. And you can also take shelter of the book Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada Ki. This is where I like to sort of conclude and take in questions. There were 2 here, Vijay Prabhu, then Simon, then Amil, and anyone else who wants to ask. Yes?
It's a very basic question. You spoke about the yugas, and they're compared to, or the other way around, compared to, what is it, Bronze Age, Copper Age, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a Western Bronze Age, Copper Age, etc.? Isn't that a Western depiction? Yeah. So, okay, that's all.
Hence the reference.
But do the Westerners see them as the same time cycle?
No.
Probably not, no?
No, because obviously the Westerners, they didn't actually look at Bhagavad. They may have, but they don't want to give credit to it.
Okay.
Because if you start giving credit to something that is unfamiliar, that means, oh, you're losing control. Mm-hmm. To control society, they take something, change it to make it their own, and then redisplay it.
So they probably have their own timeline as well for that.
I mean, the timeline is universal, actually.
Yeah, for the yugas that we have, but
yeah,
the Western probably...
It's very much aligned, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, some YouTube videos are out there that shows the alignment between Vedic timelines and Roman, or this timeline, current timelines. Yes. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens after Brahma's lifetime?
What's after
his death,
very good.
basically.
So we talked about partial dissolution, and after Brahma's lifetime, there's a complete annihilation of the entire universe.
That means material universe?
The material universe, correct. Spiritual doesn't annihilate. It's only the material universe is annihilated. You know the ones that come out of Mahavishnu?
So that's the gross or also subtle? And
Yeah,
all
gross and
material?
subtle.
Okay.
Gross and subtle, all material, including mind, intelligence, ego, etc. Yes. When we went through the diagram in the class, I show different layers. I said one is 10 times bigger than the other, includes mind, intelligence, and ego in the universal creation. Yes. Amir Prabhu?
Yes, I have a question. You tell like we are very lucky in this age to have this incarnation of Chaitanya.
Yes.
And in the other Kali, you tell Krishna came, but it's not exactly the same, just incarnation of Vishnu.
It is not said to be the original Krishna himself from Goloka Vrindavan.
In the other Kali, which
They also have Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, the 4 ages are there, continuous. It's still a Kali Yuga, but it's not the Vaivasvata Manu's Kali Yuga. It's a different Kali Yuga. It's obviously the next Manvantara Kali Yuga, like that. So in those Manvantara Kali Yugas, Krishna himself and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu follows, doesn't happen like that. And Prabhupada follows. It doesn't happen in that sequence.
So it's another form of Krishna who's coming.
It's a form of Krishna. His behavior is the same, but it's it's an incarnation of Vishnu who comes, not the original Krishna who comes. Now remember, Vishnu is not different to a Krishna, but he's at work. And so his incarnation would be able to do, it's like the Vasudeva incarnation, who does the work.
Okay, so the appearances are the same, but one
Appearance is the same.
Incarnation and the other is expansion.
So the expansion is in the spiritual worlds. Incarnation, like we discussed in the class, is in the material world. It comes down. Incarnates means comes down. Okay. Anyone else in the ladies' side first, before I move on? Yes, I'm Prabhu.
Is there somewhere a described purpose why there are so many yugas and why this is repeating actually?
So obviously there are so many living entities who have desires. Because ultimately the material world creation comes because of the souls who wanted to come and enjoy here separately. And there are so many of them. So many of us.
A limitation of how many souls there are?
There is no limitation. It's just described as unlimited.
Okay, so it goes on.
It's like tiny little, it's described as tiny little mustard seed in a huge mountain of mustard seeds.
Because Krishna is infinite, and then the souls are the infinitesimal.
Yes.
So,
but that also would mean that it starts again after it completely ends at some point, right?
I mean, it's continuously ending and starting, so there's no an end or a beginning.
Okay.
You see, it's like, if you look at the diagram that we've shared, it's continuously happening, like coming out, going in, coming out, going in, like this is continuously going on, like waves in the ocean. Can you actually count the number of ocean waves that there are? You can't. You can't count the number of hairs that you have. It's a similar sort of thing. It's completely unlimited. It's like uncountable. Last question, because I think it's conscious of time. Vijay Prabhu?
When the soul moves to another body, it doesn't necessarily have to be in this world, in this universe. It could be in a different universe.
It could be in any other different universe, any other age, depending on your karma, your past credits, your last thought at the time of death, etc., 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 as described in the Gita. Okay, thank you very much. Kantra Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kantra Shri Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Gaura Premanande.
Sankirtan Priya Prabhu ki
Jai. Gaura Bhaktavinda ki.